thing with me is that, I don't really like being labeled as, a female entrepreneur, female founder, whatever. I really believe in the human and that we're all the same. But unfortunately, and this is exactly why we did the campaign that you're a part of, that women are still underestimated. So that means we do need to shine a brighter light on them, right? To emphasize that they deserve the same seat at the table as, call it their opposites, the men. Um, like I just wish it was a completely, inclusive world where we just respect that at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And yeah, maybe we all look a little different, but it doesn't matter. It's about what goes on in our heads, I think. But speaking of, forging my own path with positive fibers, I definitely think that because it's the fashion industry, it's easier to like it's not as hard to break in as a woman than were it, I don't know, the automotive industry, for example. Because fashion is the majority of people in the space are women, right? It's a quite feminine industry or women-led industry, even though I think what's funny is that often these big brands, the CEOs are men.
See, that's the thing. It's a women-led industry, which is super correct in terms of looking at the face of fashion. But if you were to dig a little deeper and find out who's
the
actually
brains are men, right?
The brains, yes. We're the physical, we're the appearance, we're the women.
Exactly.
But the brain is mainly the CEOs and whatnot. Are mainly men, older men.
So that needs to change, because also, I mean, I think what I always felt was so, I don't know, I think kind of funny, like why, I don't know, for example, take Victoria's Secret. The CEO is a man, or was a man. Like, what does he know about, how underwear is supposed to fit? He's not a woman, like he doesn't wear it. So how can he really represent the company? You know what I mean?
Do you know what I think it is? I think they are looking at like men are able to do all the numbers, let's say all the technical stuff. All the stuff that us women might be just a bit too dainty to do.
All the stuff that doesn't require empathy. Right?
Exactly, like all the kind of numbers and digits and making books balance and talking to shareholders. It seems to be very much, given to men. Well, us women, we're giving them more the fluffy stuff, the marketing, the design, the clothes. And there's nothing wrong with that, far from it. But I think that it's important that if a woman also wants to, work with the numbers and crunch some numbers, she should be able to do so. And I feel like that's kind of a job that's usually given a lot to men.
And I think it's offensive. I think it's completely offensive that it is that way, but maybe it also lies in women not stepping up enough. I don't know what it is.
You know what it is? It comes down to when you are raising girls into women. It is important that girls develop interests free of societal biases.
Absolutely.
So girls, when I'm raising two young girls, and one wants to be a fireman, the other wants to be a princess. And my whole entire thing is to not give them, saying to them, oh, you have to have the kitchen, you have to have this. If she wants to have the kitchen set, she can have it. But if she wants to play with a Hulk, toy, or a fireman toy, she can also play with that. So my thing when I'm raising these girls is not to put them in a box. It's to say, what's your passion? What do you want?
Yeah, I love that.
If they want to play with what someone might consider boy toys, I will let them play with that. Because as anyone knows, children are fickle-minded. They want to play with a train set one moment, they want to play with Barbie the next. So I do not say to them, like how when I was growing up, you need a doll, you need a pram, you need, really kind of female-focused toys. I let them walk in and choose what they want. And I think that's where it begins. It begins with raising females that do not feel boxed in or feel like they have certain boxes they need to tick in order to be a woman.
Yeah, because like we've created this paradigm, but just as in fashion, there's a paradigm, it can be shifted.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about challenging the status quo and thinking beyond societal norms.
Mm-hmm. And also we need
And
accessible role models as well.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, you great minds.
Think alike. Exactly. Like that's the thing, right? Role models are so important. And I mean, I'm lucky to have been raised by, a very strong woman who, like, my mother definitely has always been pushing me to think for myself, build my own career, don't be dependent on anyone. But yeah, like, if it wasn't for her, I don't know if I would have been where I am today. I don't think I would be. So role models are so incredibly important. And I look a lot at women, being in the fashion industry. I actually don't look at the fashion industry, I look outside.
Mm-hmm.
And so for example, if I can take the liberty to mention a few women that I find super inspirational, from the field of economics, is Kate Raworth. So she wrote the book called Donut Economics, which was the book that completely changed my view on the world. Being educated in kind of a linear economics way, and then suddenly having this this what do you call it, like, wake up call, reality check, that the fashion industry is doing so much harm, but at the same time there's a great opportunity to make it a real force for good, because fashion affects every corner of society. So it can be such a powerful tool, to drive us closer in a meaningful way and help the environment with it.
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, so her book Donut Economics talks exactly about that. She always says, like, we need to meet the needs of all within the means of the planet, and I just love that mantra. And the work she does is just so amazing. And yeah, like, she really, like, for me, that's a role model, especially, I mean, I guess because I'm an economist, she's an economist, so there's that strong factor of relatability.
Of course. And I think when you can relate to somebody and you see how they are paving the way for everybody else, it's much easier to connect with them. I mean, me personally, I think the only issue I have with women, if I dare say this,
You dare, we're fashionably frank.
dare, right, is the bickering among
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And when I say this word bickering, I mean in the sense that I'm a woman, you're a woman, but sometimes our battles might not be the same because I'm a
Mm-hmm.
Black woman and you're a white woman. So yes, as a whole, as a women, we are fighting the good fight. We are hoping to be heard and to change the way we are treated in our chosen careers. But
Mm-hmm.
as a woman of color, our battles are a little less easier, I guess, because we
Yeah.
only not have the factor of being a woman, we also have to battle the factor of being someone of color.
Yeah.
So for me, I've always kind of been fighting two battles rather than fighting just the one, which is for all women. I've also been
Yeah.
fighting for women and fighting for women of color, and trying to
Yeah.
figure out how we can kind of bring ourselves up and be successful in our chosen career. So
Mm-hmm.
when I started in fashion tech, or writing about fashion tech, there was very few faces that were looking like mine.
Yeah.
And one of the most positive things that has come out of working in this space was the amount of girls who are really into technology and fashion, but they've never seen a person of color in this space. And they come up to me and they say, "Oh my God, I never saw someone that looks like you talking about fashion tech." And I say to them, "Sweetheart, there's many of us."
See, and that's
You
but
know,
that's
you
why you're a
have to
role
just,
model, and that's
yeah,
that's
and
one
I
of the
realize I'm a role model in that way, that they're looking at me like, wow. And I don't ask to be a role model. I never thought I was a role model because I have my own role models that I look up to myself. You know, but as a woman who, you know, who's in a space that is not only hasn't got that many women in it, also hasn't got that many women of color in it.
Yeah.
It's quite nice to be able to kind of be that person that makes them realize that they can work in this space. They
Can I
can
ask
bring
something?
a difference to the table, because a lot of young people feel like it's, you know, certain spaces are only created for certain people. So when they
Mm-hmm.
see someone who is like them, they're like, wow. It's kind of the same way you might see a really strong woman who is a CEO of a massive company, a company that you thought was run by only men. And then you look at her,
Mm-hmm.
wow, how does she?
I would love it. I would love it if then that woman
Mm-hmm.
shows up looking like, Elle Woods from Legally Blonde, right? Someone that would not necessarily be taken serious, but guess what she's doing? So
That
don't
would
judge
be
a book
like
by its
her
cover.
secret weapon, the kind of very high-heeled, very girly looking woman. Everyone would think she, you know, she obviously hasn't got much going on, but she has everything going on. That's a strong woman right there.